Heading over into the kitchen section and the home decor section areas of the Dollar Tree, we're going to use a pizza pan and one of these wall tiles. Now, I know these wall tiles are so popular with a lot of crafters. That's because they're just so beautiful. It really gives you that farmhouse look. So go ahead and remove them from the package, take off the stickers, and then take it outside. I used spray paint. I used my rustic orange on this project because I want to make sure that the paint adheres. I know some people like using chalk paint. I'm a big fan of spray paint because it goes much quicker. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace my pan onto the tile so I can get the sizing. I'm going to pull off that back part because once you cut the edges it comes apart for the tile. And I'm going to just keep playing with it until I get the size just right to fit in the middle of the pan. You can see that I got really close from tracing around the sides, but I needed to take it down just a little bit more in the side. And how I do this, I just smush it down and make little dots, kind of a connect the dot for my scissor to follow to be able to get that perfect round shape. Once I've got that all cut out and it's ready to be put down inside, I'm going to use 2 different adhesives so it really sticks in there because we're still dealing with metal. So I'm going to use E6000 and some hot glue and pop that right into the pan. Now we could leave it like this, it's really pretty, but I wanted to have more of a rustic fall farmhouse feel. So I'm going to come in with a cream, not a stark white, a cream paint, and I'm going to dry brush to bring forward that pattern on these tiles. This is just such a fun technique and I never get sick of doing it. How about all of you? Do you all use these tiles as much as I love them and want to use them? Once I was all done, I had this leftover handle for a paint stirrer stick that I used from a long time ago. You can use anything for the stem. You can use a popsicle stick or a craft stick, whatever you want to call those, or some rope, all sorts of different things. But I'm going to use this leftover handle. I painted it and sanded down the edges a little bit on it. And now I'm going to add some E6000 and some hot glue. And I'm going to make sure it has a nice spot on the back. I'm making the handle a little bit deeper down into the pan so it's got more of an area for a surface to grab onto that painter's handle. I get asked all the time to slow down the process whenever I make bows. So I'm going to do it here to show how I make a bow out of rope. I am simply going to create 2 figure 8s, never cutting my rope. So I made the first loop, the second loop, and I'm going to come back around and make the 3rd loop, swing it back around, make the 4th loop, and then I let the tail come out. The trick with rope is that it wants to naturally twist. So make sure when it's wanting to kind of pull and twist the wrong way, you just have to gently just twist the rope back the opposite way and it'll help it lay flat. Now I don't actually tie a knot with the rope. I'm going to come back in because I'm going to double up my bows for this project. I'm using the same ticking stripe ribbon that I'm planning on using for my second bow, and I'm going to use that to wrap around the rope. Now you can see here, I'm adjusting it. I'm making sure it's still laying flat before I lock everything into place. And I'm just taking my time to make sure it looks right and it's going to sit right. And I could speed this part up, but again, I wanted to show everybody how I do this because I get a lot of questions about this particular bow whenever you see me do it here on my channel. So once I've gone around a couple of times with that ticking stripe ribbon, I'm going to take my hot glue and glue that down into place. This is going to really help lock it all into place without things moving and shifting. So now I've got this really pretty rope bow that has such a beautiful rustic fall look to it. And I'm going to glue that right onto my pan, right at the top where that handle area is. And it just looks so pretty, doesn't it? I think that this bow is so fun to make, and it is a little bulky and a little more masculine, but I love that look where it's got a little bit of a rustic masculine look, but yet feminine. I think that is the sweet cherry on top of that cupcake when you can accomplish that on fall farmhouse DIY decor. Now I'm going to come in with my ticking stripe bow. Like I said, this is the more feminine bow that I'm adding on top of that more rustic manly bow. Is that even a thing? We're making it for this pumpkin. It's going to be a thing for this pumpkin. And now I'm gonna add on a brown button. I just think that this buttons it all up nicely. That was a cheesy joke. On the back side, I'm going to add on a couple of leaves. I like to lock it down with a piece of ribbon so it doesn't pop off, and it has a nice finished look. For this project, we're going to be taking 2 of these wood fence posts, and I'm going to be cutting them in half. Now, I made sure I accounted for the very top part where it's arched. I went ahead and also cut that part off because I just wanted these to be flat pieces on both ends. I love these because these are still affordable pieces at your home improvement store. These have not gone up in price like most of the wood has. So I picked up 2 of these to make this sign. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring them together, all 4, to create a really adorable farm barn door wreath hanger. You can also use this for so many other things, to put hooks to hang jackets on, all kinds of fun projects for this. So you can see that I used some painter sticks. I used wood glue and hot glue, and then I stapled them into place on the back side. And then on the front side, this is how we're going to get that barn door look. I went ahead and created a middle piece that had angle cuts, and then the 2 long pieces that go across the width of the board. Now to give it that farmhouse look, I'm going to nail in 3 of the nail heads here on this side where the middle meets up to the ends, and then 2 on the other sides. Now I'm going to take some white paint, and I'm going to just do a really rough job painting this. I'm not trying to get every single thing covered to give it that farmhouse look. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a white bee and wipe back off the paint off of the nail heads, leaving it looking a little bit rough with a little bit of paint on the nails where it looks like it's been outside and weathered for a long time. Then I did a little bit of light distressing and added a metal handle to the very top. I'll link these handles down below. I picked them up on Amazon. I love these, and I'm actually going to be using them on another project soon here on my channel. And then very last, I drilled another hole for my screw to hang up a wreath. I am taking all of these different florals, a mixture of past spring florals with some of the newest florals, to really cut down on the price and get that fall look. Now, this color theme is so fun. I wanted it to have that fall color where things are starting to become a little bit lighter from the cold weather outside. It's got that frosty look where it still is also bringing in those beautiful oranges and very soft pinks. Now, I have a couple different ways I like to do my wreaths. First, on this wreath in particular, I'm using a zip tie, and I'm bringing together 3 of this peonies from the Dollar Tree, and I'm clustering them in 5 clusters. And then I'm coming back in, and I'm also going to zip tie on bundles of these peach carnations, as well as this newer sprig from the Dollar Tree that has these beautiful peachy and white leaves. It's got that frosted look with the little pumpkins. Then I'm going to start to fill in these pink roses, because again, this is that muted tone that you start to see towards the end of fall, where everything is really starting to just get cold and icy outside. I thought these all came together so beautifully. Now, I made sure to still add in some really bright, pretty orange, and then this boxwood as well from the Dollar Tree. I was so impressed that the Dollar Tree had all of these new floral picks this year. Another thing I added in were these white berries. These are all year long. You can find these at the Dollar Tree. And then some of this fall grass. I thought that this pop of green and yellow in here was perfect for this wreath, and it really got that look I was going for. And then the last thing I added in were some of these, I don't think they're black eyed Susans, but they're little sunflowers that are white, and it has the really dark brown center of it. I loved that little pop in there. Now this completes the look. What do you think? I found these apples on Amazon. I'll link them down below in my description box, but today I'm going to be using these smaller ones, this bucket, this foam square, some boxwood, and some shish kebab sticks. Start by taking your foam square and cutting it down in half, and then I'm going to just shove that down in there and glue it into place with some E6000 and hot glue. And then the other half of that foam square, I'm going to cut it down a little bit in size, and then I'm going to start to shape and round the top so that we can turn this little bucket into an apple bush. I thought this would be so cute for the fall. So go ahead and add some more hot glue and E6000 so it really bonds on there well. And then I'm going to start working on my apples. Go ahead and take your shish kebab sticks, poke them into the apple, and try not to let them go flying off like that one just did. And then you're going to go and glue in the stick at the bottom of the apple so it doesn't pop off over time. And then you're going to just sporadically place them all over this foam square until you get them to the liking that you see and desire. Now I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to add in some of this moss down inside the bucket at the base. I thought that this would look really cute as if you'd see it in your own garden. And now I'm going to take my boxwood and I'm going to cut them down so that I can place them into all of these holes that I pushed into my foam square. This is going to allow you to be able to get all of those boxwoods in there and glue them into place. And the more sprigs of this boxwood that you add, the more it really starts to transform into this little apple bush, which I think is so fun, and it's really easy to create this look. Cost me hardly anything and I love it. I saw this darling bucket and I wanted to turn it into a pumpkin. I thought the shape of it was just so cute and friendly. So what I did, I took the handle off, I popped off the nails that were in it, took it outside and spray painted it this great orange color. I'm going to link my spray paints down below so you can find them in your local home improvement stores. But I loved this color. I felt like it was the perfect orange. Now I'm going to glue on this little branch at the top, and I'm going to decorate it with a couple of leaves. Nothing too crazy, but you really could just embellish this as much as you would like. I like more of a simplistic look on a lot of my DIYs, but I do want to have a little personality. So I'm going to put in a little sprig of boxwood, tuck that in there, and then a bow. You never could go wrong with a bow. I put bows on a lot of things just because I think that they're just so cute, and they really just, I don't know, I think they're really pretty when you add on a bow, especially if it has a cute bow like this where it's got this beautiful stripe. Now I'm letting the tails be really long, and I'm doing a dovetail snip at the bottom where I pinch it in half and cut up at a triangle. And the transformation is so simple and just such an impact on a table.